Hello everyone, it's Thumper the Rabbit. In this episode of Rust Electricity 101, the component guide, we're going to cover the 4 RF components that were released in the February 2019 Rust Electricity update. Those 4 components are the broadcaster, the transmitter, the pager, and the receiver. The broadcaster and the transmitter are devices that send a signal. The pager and the receiver are devices that receive a signal. They are not default blueprints, none of these. They are all discoverable, and they are all craftable. There is a slight difference between some of these and how that happens. You'll see that the broadcaster is high qual and tech trash. Tech trash is a new requirement for these RF components, so keep saving that up. The pager uses metal frag and tech trash. The receiver uses high qual and tech trash. And the transmitter uses high qual and tech trash. At the present date on a vanilla server, the broadcaster, pager, and receiver are fairly rare drops and are a lot more likely to be found in higher tier crates like elite and hackable crates and so forth. The transmitter is reported to still be a little more common of a drop in crates and sunken chests and standard crates, so you may find the transmitter easier than these others. That's all subject to the loot table on your server, but if you're on vanilla, probably more likely to find a transmitter than the rest of these. So let's take a look at how these work. I've got some solar power coming into the splitter here for demonstration, and I've placed the broadcaster on the floor so you can see that it has one and only one handle. It's a power input on the side. All you do is provide power to this and it starts sending a broadcast on a frequency. The RF transmissions from these devices work across the entire map, so they don't presently have any range limitation. So if you set this to frequency 1 and you have a pager or a receiver anywhere on the map that's on frequency 1, it will get triggered also. And note that these are not exclusive to you or your clan. So if you transmit on frequency 1, everyone on the map who has a receiver on frequency 1, whether they are authorized, whether they're on your clan, whatever, they're going to get triggered as well. So just like door codes, you're going to want to try and pick unique frequencies for your applications, or you may end up running over somebody else, or they may end up triggering your devices. So I'm going to run the power here. I have run the power here through a switch on the wall, so I can turn this on. This receiver here is set also to the default frequency 1, and it has power in coming in from the splitter. Its power out is going to this display for a visual demonstration purpose here. So you'll see when I throw the switch to power the broadcaster, it's now being received by this on frequency 1 and passing power through. So you can see that the display counter is now on. If I turn that transmitter off, pass through stops, turn it on, pass through starts, and these are loud. Not sure if you can hear that. I tried to crank the volume up a little bit. All these devices make a little bit of noise when they get activated or when they're operating. It's hard to hear, but you'll notice it when you're using them. So the other transmitter device that I can use to activate this RF receiver here is the handheld, the RF transmitter. This one right now is set to frequency 1. You change the frequency on these by holding down the right click. That's a little confusing for some people because it differs from the rest of the component. But when you press down and hold your right, you'll see a little quick bar pops up and then you can set the frequency. So this is a momentary switch that when I press and hold, it's on, and when I release, it turns off. You could use this in combination with a memory cell and its toggle input to make it stay on when you do that. There's another video I've already posted that shows how to do that, so go take a look at that. But normally this is just a momentary on and then release to turn off. On. You can hear, it's hard to hear, but it sounds like an old school cell phone next to your headset. And off. And that's how you use the broadcaster and the transmitter with the sort of base station receiver here that you would use in your base for electrical wiring. The other component that we have is the pager. The pager here is a little different than the others in that you actually configure it in your inventory. It can set its frequency here. By default, it's on 55. You can also change it from its beep mode to a vibrate mode. That's what the silent on and off does. And when it's activated, there's another option here. I'm going to go ahead and set our base station to 55 so I can trigger the pager. And you'll see we get a visual indicator. We have the lightning bolt to show you that it's going off. You can hear it beeping. And this option appears, the stop option. As soon as you hit that, it goes away, but that's what shuts up the pager. Even with the signal still transmitting, that's your sort of mute button or shut up button for the pager. If I change this to silent mode, you'll hear that when I trigger this, there's still a lightning bolt, but here's a vibration tone. I hope you can hear that in the video, but it just vibrates instead of beeping. You still have the stop option, and I can turn it back to beep, and now it's an audible tone. Next time I trigger a transmission, it's going to beep. You can trigger this from a handheld, so I have a handheld here, a handheld RF transmitter set to frequency 55. There you go, pager's on and beeping. Release, pager's off. Another interesting use of these pagers is that they do not have to be on your person, and they hold their configuration when they're transferred from person to person. So if I give this pager to somebody else with it set to 55, or if I leave it on the ground and somebody picks it up and I hit the trigger, it's going to beep. If I put it in a box, it is going to beep. If I take this and I go leave it outside someone's door because I wanted to prank them, and I hit the trigger, it's still going to beep outside their door. This may be a great way to grief the ever-living crap out of people. Just put pagers all around their base and then hook up a transmitter or broadcaster and just let it beep around their base all day. Then they got to pick them up and change all their frequencies to shut them up. And I mean, you're giving them some good loot, but it is kind of annoying, so that could be fun. So that, I believe, covers all of the basic functionality of our RF components. Again, we have two transmitters, the broadcaster and the handheld transmitter. We have two receivers, the RF receiver and the pager. Broadcaster has a power in, and its frequency can be configured with the use key. The receiver has a power in and a power out that it passes through while it's activated. The use key brings up the screen for changing its frequency. We have the handheld transmitter, which is activated by pressing the button and holding, and then releasing to turn off, and right-clicking and holding to set its frequency. And then the pager, which you configure through your inventory to set frequency, change between beep and vibrate mode, and to silence when it's actually activated. None of them are default blueprints. They have a variety of drop rates from different crates, but you're more likely to find them in the higher tier crates. And they're all craftable using tech trash. In the case of the broadcaster, transmitter, and receiver, you also need high qual. In the case of the pager, you need metal frag along with that tech trash to craft it. So there you go. Lots of possibilities here for all kinds of hijinks. Have a good time with the RF components.